Growing up with TikTok must be challenging.
So hard. I did something called like a dopamine detox. It's a really fancy way of just saying I stopped going on TikTok for like a week. I would say this podcast is brat.
All right, a very long-awaited episode. Emma, welcome into Forever Forward.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. And it's been nice also growing up with you and kind of sharing a life with you. Because for those that don't know, you are my sister.
Yes.
You are 15.
I am 15.
And I am just turned 28. So we have a 13-year, I know, right? We have a 13-year age gap between us. But let's start there. Like, what was it like having a brother that's so much older than you?
It definitely had its pros and cons.
Yeah.
I think more pros. I mean, I always had someone to look up to and someone to ask advice and all that. It also just, I saw you go through a lot of experiences like high school and college, so it makes me feel a lot more comfortable when I do those things. Of course, cons is I don't get to see you and our other siblings as much now.
Because we've moved out.
Right, yeah. And I'm still home, but I mean, I think it's pretty good overall.
And honestly, I feel the same way about you. I think a lot of people think I just say this to be like cute or funny, but like I learned a lot from you.
Yeah.
When you were growing up.
Yeah.
It was a pretty unique experience to be almost, I felt like a second dad when you were so young, right?
Yeah.
When you were like a newborn. Like I learned how to change a diaper and learned what it's like to have a baby cry in the middle of the night. But you were always pretty mature for your age, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I think that definitely came from like having 3 like really older siblings.
Yeah.
I think I just learned like you learn behavior from the people around you, and the people around me were so old. Yeah. So then I kind of got mature.
Do a lot of your friends have similar situations, or no? They have siblings that are around this age.
No, I mean most of my friends have like 2 siblings that are like within 2 or 3 years of age to them.
That's what the other of us were until you came along.
Right, and that's it. Also creates another aspect of like I'm a little left out because you guys met each other. But yeah,
and I think. Just to kick it off, I think to say you were a little bit of a miracle child. You had a very rare food allergy. If I'm not mistaken, I think you almost died.
I think I did.
I think you did.
I think I did as well.
But you've now outgrown that, right? So,
yes, thankfully.
It's crazy though. Like we used to have ambulances come to the house.
A lot.
Yeah. You actually got very comfortable at a young age going to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like how many times do you think you've been to the hospital?
Oh my God, like way too many to count, like 100.
You think you've been 100 times?
I truly do think 100 times.
Well, look, I'm kind of jealous of you right now because you are in high school, which I think is some of the most fun 4 years of your life. How's it been? What's it like to be a freshman in high school, in your second month of high school?
Definitely better than the first.
Okay.
I'll say that. I definitely went into high school because you and the other siblings went to the same high school as me. I was hearing from a lot of people like it's gonna be so fun, you're gonna love it, it's gonna be great. So I went into it being like, right, you're gonna love it.
You probably heard that from me and others and friends.
Lots of people. Everyone was telling me that, and I went into it. And the first week, I didn't love it, and I was kind of panicking because I was like,
what was making you nervous?
I don't know. I mean, we both have anxiety. I think a lot of it came from just like, hey, you're feeling kind of like a fish out of water right now. Let's just make you anxious all the time. That was a little bit how I was feeling. It wasn't a specific reason. But now that I'm kind of into my routine and like I have gone to like the football game and all that, it feels more like calm, and I actually really like it now. Have
people been generally pretty nice?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like I know like pretty much everyone. I mean, the way that our high school works is it's 2 middle schools go into this one high school. And of course, I know everybody from my middle school. And like most people from the other middle school I know. Know of, yeah. Like it's not, someone I've never heard of. So I would say everyone's been pretty nice. Everyone's going through the same thing. It's not like...
That's a great point. That's a great point. And I feel like you always will feel that way, whether you're starting elementary school or middle school or high school. Or I felt that way, especially when I got to college.
Yeah.
I still feel that way kind of still today. Like I show up at work and I'm like, what am I even doing here? What's going on? But you also joined the volleyball team. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
You made the team.
I did.
And I think, for somebody that's been away from organized sports for a long time, I kind of crave those experiences of being a part of a team, having fun, winning, and even losing with a team. I got to ask, like, what's it like being on a team? And you're not on the freshman team. You're on the junior varsity team. So you really outperformed. What's it been like so far?
Really amazing. And when I first got to high school, the saving factor for me was volleyball.
Nice.
Like, that was where I felt the most comfortable, the most confident, like all of that. And it's been really great to be able to do something I love with people I've known for a while as well, and meeting new people. And then also just like being able to represent like your school is a pretty cool experience.
It's cool, right?
It's cool. Like, just, I mean, this is my first time ever being on an organized team that wasn't like club, and it feels good to have like your jerseys and like play in a division and all that. It's pretty cool.
Well, look, I mean, growing up with you has been so fun for so many reasons, and I consider you like a best friend. We talk not every day,
but a lot.
But a lot,
yeah.
And I genuinely value your opinion, and I think I see a lot of myself in you.
Yeah.
And I think you would say the same. I think you see a lot of yourself in me.
I would. It's kind of funny. I don't think I've actually told you this yet, but as you know, I'm taking a journalism class, and in this class, another student had to like write a story about me. So they interviewed me, and what they found, I guess, most significant about me was my relationship with you and how good it is despite our age difference.
Really?
And so I wish
you never
that
told me that.
I haven't. I wish that I recorded it because it was really great. And so I do agree that like we have a very good relationship for siblings, and even for siblings that are like so far apart in age, and like you're a boy, I'm a girl, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that too. And that's been nice for me, I feel like, because you have different perspectives because you haven't experienced certain things.
Right.
For as much as you have,
Right.
I think you bring a nice, fresh perspective. Even when you were like 4 years old,
Yeah.
I would be like, Emma, what do you think about this? And you'd be like, I'm just trying to watch Sesame Street. Right?
I'm just watching Dora right now, dude.
You're just
Like,
trying to
get
watch
out of my
Dora.
face. That's what I said.
But one thing we share in common, and I've talked about this on my YouTube channel before, is we both have very strong like hyperfixations. We find hobbies or activities or things we like, and we just dive all in.
Yeah.
So you want to go through maybe a couple of yours, and then I'll share maybe a couple of mine?
Yeah, so this one I said I would never bring up, and I'm gonna have to.
Okay.
And that was, unfortunately, anime.
Well, here's the thing.
This is me being so vulnerable right now.
Well, here's the thing, right? You might be embarrassed about it, but I think, for what it's worth, a lot of people love anime.
Yeah,
right?
it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But I would say that, I wouldn't call this a hyperfixation, but I go in and out of it. And that's like art and drawing and stuff like that. I mean, I went to like a little art program for a while, and that was when I was like really into it.
Remind me, were you drawing like all different types of things, or did you have a certain thing that you like to draw?
No, I mean, it was just like everything, really. Like, I would just go on Pinterest, and anything I found cool, I would try to like recreate.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. The most recent hyperfixation that we really are into is Formula One.
yes.
And it's funny because who got who into Formula One?
You got me into it. I remember this day so vividly.
But you became more into it than me over time. I might have introduced it, but then you really dove in.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think I remember you were like telling Dad and I, oh, like I found this new sport. It's really cool. We got to watch a race. And it was the 2023 Miami Grand Prix.
Okay.
And we all sat down in the family room and watched it. And I remember being like, oh, this is cool, but like, no, like it's okay. Maybe not my thing. And then slowly I started seeing it on my TikTok For You page. And then
That's where
that's where it all started.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of got into it on my own. I was like, this is pretty cool.
Did you watch that Netflix series?
I did. I
Yeah.
did. Drive to Survive. Yes.
I think that's what got like a lot of the U.S.
Yeah.
into Formula One.
Yeah.
And I guess to come full circle on this, we recently went to a race.
It was really awesome.
And that was unbelievable. So
Really awesome.
Where did we go?
So we went to Barcelona.
Yeah.
It was so cool. We took a little family trip to Spain, and we watched the Barcelona Grand Prix. And we got some pretty sick seats as well. We were pretty like we were pretty front and center.
We were feeling pretty bougie.
We were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even got to meet some driver. Did you meet a driver? I don't remember that.
I didn't.
You didn't.
But did you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I actually went up to anybody. I know I saw Oscar Piastri. I saw Lance Stroll. I think I did kind of like interact with Esteban Ocon a little bit.
You met a lot of the girlfriends.
I did, yeah.
Because I think you had been seeing them on your TikTok or whatever.
Yeah, and it's so funny. We were like in the paddock, which is like, for those of you who don't know, like the area where kind of the drivers and the family, they all kind of hang out. And I was walking, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's, her name's Alexandra St. Malou. And I was like, oh my God, like that's her. Like, and I went up to her, and there was a few other wags there as well. And
WAG, what does that stand for?
Wives and Girlfriends.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we're learning something new.
There you go.
And they were really nice, like really cool. And I
Yeah.
also felt pretty bougie.
Yeah. Did you guys take a picture? I can't remember.
No, I don't think. I think it was pretty quick. I think I was just like, oh hi, like I love your style or whatever. And she's like, oh thanks, you're so cute.
So you did talk though.
We did talk, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really fun being there. I mean, I think the spectacle of Formula One is cool on TV, but to be there and to hear it and see it, and this is going to sound weird to say, but to smell it.
No, 100%.
Because there's a smell.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm picturing it right now. I mean, when we first kind of, like, got to our seats and we went out on, like, the little balcony area, like, that's a feeling that, like, I've thought about since.
I agree.
Like, it's really cool.
And like, you know, when the cars go by, you can like feel it in your chest. I don't know, there's something very captivating about it.
Yeah.
It's almost like going to a baseball game. It's like the sights and sound of a baseball game, but like multiply that by 100 and like inject it with testosterone. And you've got what it feels like to be at a Formula One race.
Yeah.
And that was in Spain. Actually, one of my favorite memories with you was when we were in Spain. Had nothing to do with Formula One, but it was late. I think it was like 1 o'clock or in the morning.
I was going to talk about this.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
And of everywhere to go in Spain to get some food late night, we found like the only McDonald's on the strip.
Yeah.
And got Spanish McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And you know what? I don't regret it.
And hey, we don't regret it.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I think that's one of the things. Look, that's one of the things that I try to promote here on Forever Forward is like, I love it when people do things without fear of being judged or just basically do what they want.
Yeah.
I love that.
Exactly.
Because I do feel like nowadays, you know, people can be influenced by trying to be popular or cool, and those are fine. But like, I think when you're the happiest is when you know you're doing the thing that you yourself want to do the most.
Yeah.
And I think you take after me a bit in that respect. I really respect you because I feel like at the end of the day, you're never afraid to either like speak your mind or be yourself.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. That's definitely a trait that I try to, you know, emulate a lot. And I mean, with the topic of Formula One as well, I took a trip to London and I remember this is another actually hyperfixation of Legos. And
yeah, that was one too.
And I wanted to get, it was like a Lego like Formula One car or some kind of car. And I remember checking out and the guy was like, like, I haven't seen a girl buy this. Or like,
seriously?
Yeah. And he was like, oh, like, you're a girl who likes, you know, cars. Like, oh, like, cool. It was like, good for you kind of thing. And I was just like, all right.
Like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah. But I mean, that just like makes me be like, all right, like, you're weird. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, look, here's another hyperfixation for me that, you know, some people probably looked at me cockeyed for. I had a very large collection of Funko Pops.
I remember this
for years. And the only reason I don't have them anymore is just I ran out of space for them, and the current apartment I'm in really isn't conducive to, you know, a large display of Funko Pops on the wall.
Right.
But like that's I think an example of me saying, look, I like these little figures. Some people call them dolls or action figures, but like they make me happy.
Yeah.
And they're cheap.
Like why not?
And so who cares?
Exactly.
We have a couple fun segments that I want to get into. We've never done segments on Forever Forward. But we're going to do it today. So Emma you're Gen Z, right?
I am Gen Z.
What do you know what that even means or stands for?
No. I do know the cutoff. I think it's like 2011, I think.
So like, if you're born before then.
Yeah. After that, I think you're like a Gen Alpha. Is that a thing?
Yo, if you are a Gen Alpha, you're cooked.
Oh yeah.
Your brain is fried.
Oh yeah.
Right?
You're done.
Like I'm half joking, but I'm half not.
No, like yeah.
Like growing up with TikTok must be challenging.
So hard. Like so hard. There are so many benefits of having like TikTok and stuff like that, but like so many cons. And I think we talked about this. I did something called like a dopamine detox.
Okay, I want you to talk about this.
Yeah. It's a really fancy way of just saying I stopped going on TikTok for like a week. And when I tell you, oh my God, my like life quality improved so much.
And are you just saying that or are you serious?
I'm so serious. Like I actually went to sleep at a normal time. I was filling my time with like working out or like reading or like something like that because there's like so much time that I would be spending on TikTok. I actually found something meaningful to do with it. And it was like, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what was the reason that you wanted to do it? Was there a moment where you were like, okay, I've been on TikTok for 8 hours today?
Yeah.
Or like, what made you do it?
I think I just kind of felt like shit. Like I just didn't feel great.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't getting stuff done. And I just felt a little bit like anxious a lot. And I was like, maybe I just try to limit myself to TikTok because you can scroll on TikTok for like 6 hours. Like,
well, that's how they design it.
It's crazy. Like sometimes I'll catch myself being like, oh, I'm gonna go on like a 5-minute TikTok break, and an hour later, like I cannot stop scrolling.
I mean, hey, credit to the people that created that thing. It is the most addictive. I actually don't even have a TikTok. I use Instagram Reels, but it's almost the same thing. But I do find that TikTok is even worse.
Yeah.
So, but even let's say the first day after, right? Mm-hmm. You delete it off your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Are you like anxious? Are you reaching for the phone? Are you? How was the adjustment period?
The first day was very much like I would go to open TikTok and then be like, oh wait, like it's deleted. And I would say after I trained my brain to just stop like wanting it got better.
So you had the muscle memory though. Like,
yeah.
Open the phone, look for where the icon is, and then be like, oh, it's off my phone.
It's funny you say muscle memory because like it wasn't like, oh, I craved it. I need TikTok. It was just so like fluid to just pick up my phone and open the TikTok app.
Yeah.
And then after like the third day, really, it was no problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Here's a question, not to put you on the spot.
Uh-oh.
Why'd you reinstall it? And maybe the answer is simple, like I just wanted it.
Yeah, I just wanted it. I mean, like, I think that TikTok is good. I mean, it can inspire a lot of people. It can introduce a lot of people to new things, like for me, Formula One.
Yeah.
And like I said, there are a lot of pros to TikTok. I think I did learn that you gotta like not be on it for 8 hours.
You gotta limit it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think it's honestly the most addicting social media platform.
Oh, for sure.
And probably the social media platform that people your age use the most.
100%. Yeah.
Do people still use Facebook?
No.
Nobody uses Facebook?
No.
Do people use Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is it? Instagram. Oh, another thing too that we can talk about before we get into the segments right now. Snapchat.
Yeah.
So your generation Snapchat's differently than my generation Snapchat. So when we use Snapchat, first of all, Snapchat came out when I was a sophomore in high school.
Oh, wow.
And I remember when it first came out, people would Snapchat back and forth, but you would have Snapchat conversations. And you would usually do it like, you know, a picture of yourself, and then you'd say like, "What's up?" And
right.
And then they'd reply and say that blah blah.
You
blah.
didn't have chats?
We at that time chats were not invented,
Okay.
so you could only. But you guys don't even send text on the screen. You just straight up send pictures of yourself.
I mean, yeah, like people do, but I mean, like, did you have like a streak? Like did you have
Streaks
that?
weren't invented at the time.
So I feel like more so people just send those pictures to like keep your streak up, I
Fair
guess.
enough.
And it's kind of like, how do I say this? Like your Snap score like means something for whatever reason.
Hey, at least you're
honest. So if you're like Snapchatting a lot of people, then like your Snap score will go up. So I think that's why people are just like sending pictures back and forth.
Meaning it is viewed as more. It's viewed as better
to have a higher.
higher.
Yeah. I mean, like technically, I don't care, but
I get that, but
Yeah.
it seems like that's perception. So do
Yeah.
you know people that have Snap scores like in the millions?
oh yeah.
Do
Like-
you have one in the millions?
No.
Okay.
Mine is like 80,000. Well, because it's funny that you bring up Snapchat. I didn't use Snapchat like all of 7th grade, pretty much all of 8th grade. I just didn't feel the need. If I needed to text my friends, I would like text them. Like I wouldn't like chat them. And like otherwise, I don't care about Snap scores and streaks and stuff like that. So there just wasn't a reason for me to have it. But recently I just like got back into using it and like it's fine. But to me, it's just so pointless.
No, I get
It really is. It's like, what could you possibly like? Is it that important? Like
It's not.
seriously, it's not.
It's not. So, all right, look, without further ado, let's get into these segments. I think this is going to be fun.
I'm really excited for this.
Me too. But okay, so this first segment, Emma's going to read me some Gen Z slang words.
I am gonna do that.
And I am going to tell her, A, if I know them,
Mhm.
and if I don't know them, I'm going to try to guess what they mean.
Okay. Okay.
All right, here we go. I
So-
hope you picked some deep cut ones that I wouldn't know.
I think I did.
Okay.
So the first term is ick.
Okay, so I know this. And the reason why I know what an ick is because I have a girlfriend who I give the ick to
Right.
all the time.
Yeah. Is she like, oh my god, Michael, like that's such an ick?
Everything's an ick.
Yeah.
If I walk around without socks on,
Oh, I was gonna say, if you're gonna say barefoot, that's such an ick.
yeah, that's an ick.
Oh yeah.
Like sometimes if I come back from a run and I'm like really, really sweaty, that's a big ick.
Ick.
Sometimes the way I sit on the couch, just
So you get ick.
I get what it means.
Right.
And just to clarify, like what is it? What is the word ick?
So I would say the word ick is specific to like another person will give you an ick.
You're right.
Like if someone's doing something cringy and it just like you're like, ugh, that's an ick.
Yeah, but there could be shocking scenarios where people say that somebody else gives them an ick.
Oh, I'm like that.
like, oh, did you see the way that he just used his napkin to wipe his lips?
That's me.
like that's
yeah.
an ick.
Yeah, or it's like, like, did you see the way he like walked
Yeah.
by us? What an ick.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Or like, did you see how he strapped his backpack strap across his chest?
Oh, actually, that was a real thing that happened a few days ago. One of
Really?
my friend's boyfriends, like, he walks around with the strap.
I walk with the strap to work,
That's an ick.
even if I'm an adult.
Even more so if you're an adult. Because where is it going? Like, what's the strap for?
I don't know, man. I got a lot of stuff in the bag. I got to secure it. I got 2 computers. I got my phones. All right, what's the next
word?
one?
All right, next word is Riz.
I think I kind of know Riz. Like Riz is short for charisma.
I actually didn't know that.
Well, there you go. And I think Riz, like, if someone has Riz, that means that they're like suave, right? They're smooth.
Yeah, it's a term like if someone tried to like hit on you in like a cool like way, like that's Riz.
But it's not just hitting on you, it's doing it like and actually achieving some intent.
Right. Like if you ask a girl out and she's like, absolutely not, you have zero Riz. That's not Riz.
Are certain actions like Riz? No. Or is it just referring to like somebody has it?
Both. I would definitely say like someone can have Riz just like as they are.
In their personality?
Yeah. But like if you do something, like you can do something and have that be Riz.
Oh, I see.
You know?
So like if you were like if you were playing in like a high school sports game and everybody was there and you had like a really good play, that could be Riz.
Well, if you had a really good play and then a girl was like, let me get your Snapchat, that is Riz. So what you just called, I think, is actually my third word, which that would be aura. If you had a good play.
This one I know and don't know. So like aura is like your overall like vibe.
Yes. So
aura is like, yeah, like what the heck is aura?
So people, it's kind of like a joke on TikTok, and it's like almost like a point system kind of. Like if you, let's say like earlier you broke a glass, you lost like let's say 300 aura
And that
points.
is true. Before we started,
true.
I broke a candlestick.
Yeah. So when the candlestick shattered, that you lost aura.
Okay. And so basically the more aura you have, you just like have
you just obtain the aura. It's
okay.
That simple. I mean, like I would like, but you can also lose aura, or I'm sorry, you can also gain aura. So it's like if you,
I see,
like you can gain it back. Like let's say, yeah, you broke that candlestick, but then after you like cleaned it up in like record time,
yeah,
you gained aura.
You gain aura.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can imagine there are a million different ways you can gain and lose aura.
Yeah.
And who is the one that decides? Like who's the, the arbiter of the aura? Just people that are around to see what happened.
I mean, my friends like to make fun of me because for some reason there's this one lunch wave that I have, and I am constantly losing aura.
During the wave?
It's bad. Like whether I like trip on my way back from the lunch line, or I've actually fallen backwards straight out of my seat that lost a few aura points there. Like, yeah.
So what would you say your aura level is at right now? Relatively high or low?
After those lunch waves, probably
pretty
low. But I feel like being on this podcast has given me some aura.
This is for sure aura.
Thank you for
Let me say this. Like this podcast has aura.
Yeah.
Right?
Good job.
This podcast just is what it is, and it has aura.
Exactly. Okay.
All right. You got another one for me?
So I would say this is the hardest one for you to identify, and that is brat.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got me.
Yeah.
Brat.
Do you have any idea?
No. I know a couple things about brat.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I think that brat comes from a music album.
That's correct.
And I think that the color scheme on the music album
This is important.
is black and lime green.
Yes.
And the last thing I know about brat
Okay.
is that Kamala Harris was described as pink.
Yeah.
And so that's all I know. I don't know what it means.
So Brat came from a music like DJ named Charlie XCX, and she released an album this summer called Brat. And her kind of like campaign, I guess you could say, or her marketing for this album was like calling things brat. So like brat is almost like aura, like where it's like someone can be brat and action can be brat.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to explain. It's like kind of like being cool, but it's also like a little more specific. Like if you're wearing like a cool outfit and like you don't care, like that's brat.
Okay, so I still am struggling to understand what it actually is.
It's just a term that people use to describe something that...
I think this is where you struggle. You can say when it is brat, but you can't say what makes it brat. Or can you?
But I mean, like, it's kind of just like if you know, you know. I would say like all lime green things are brat, first of all.
Okay.
So that's right there.
Right
that's
off
brat.
the rip, that's part of it.
Right.
Okay.
I think brat, it can also be like a mindset. Like if you don't care about something.
Yeah.
If you know, or like if you are doing your own thing, that's brat.
Well, I don't know if it's the best thing to have the youth pursuing a brat mindset when it means that you just don't care.
Well, I would say this podcast is brat because it's like you don't really like you're doing something that you want to do and like you're not really thinking about
what other people think.
Yeah, what other people think.
That's the greatest compliment I've ever received.
That this is brat.
That this is brat. So thanks for saying that.
You're welcome.
I'd say I did pretty well. I was like 2.5 for 4.
I would say you did pretty well. Yeah.
And I'm sure there are some other ones that are like real brain rot, deep cut stuff.
Oh, brain rot. I'm surprised you know that term, brain rot.
Well, I do. I don't really know what makes it up, but I just consider brain rot. Like there's certain content on TikTok that makes you actively dumber.
Yeah.
When you watch
that was part of the reason why I went on my little dopamine detox.
Yeah.
Because of just seeing so much just brain rot, awful stuff.
It was getting out of control.
It was getting like really really, really.
You were turning pretty stupid.
Yeah. It was like slowly like mushing my brain and just, yeah.
All right, so now let's flip this around. I'm going to ask Emma, as an individual from Generation Z and the judge, jury, and executioner on all things cool, if things are cool. Okay, ready?
Yes.
First thing.
Yes.
Going to a water park.
So not cool. And I think I've had this thought before. So not cool.
What is it about a water park that's not cool?
Everything. It's like you're not looking your best because like you can't wear makeup, your hair is bad, and
fair.
You're not looking good. You have your feet out automatically.
So that's
not
the thing.
Great.
So I think when guys wear flip-flops and have the toes out,
it's so bad.
Letting the dogs out, that's automatically not
so bad. Like so bad. And it's also just like awkward. Like you're like if you're like not swimming, you're like cold and it's
Also, you're like
not cool.
You know, to play devil's advocate, like you are in the same water as everybody else.
Yeah. And it's also kind of gross. Like water parks are gross.
I'm gonna out you though. You used to love going to the water park.
Oh, I did, but I was also 6.
Well, second thing, is this cool? Going to the movies.
Ooh, I think that's kind of controversial, but I think it is cool.
How about this one? Going to the movies by yourself.
That's just so not cool.
Not cool?
I don't even think I've ever seen someone do that.
Our own father does that.
It depends on the movie, I feel like, as well. Like if you're going and you're watching like Minions alone, that's not the best look. But if you're like watching if you're watching Oppenheimer and you're like taking notes and you're like in it yourself, that's not bad. That's almost like good.
Okay, next one. Is this cool? Playing video games. Boys playing video games.
No.
No?
No. Well,
I'm in deep trouble.
I don't think you can play video games, but some guys I know are playing video games for like 5 hours on a Saturday.
Yeah, fair.
That's not that's not cool. But I got into Fortnite this summer and like I get why they're on that for 5 hours. Like that game is pretty fun.
I'd say that's a pretty fair take.
Thank you.
All right, last one. And I'm going to tell you something that I really like and that really makes me happy. That isn't traditionally masculine. And I'm going to ask you if it makes me if it's cool or not.
Oh no.
Really enjoying nice candles.
Yeah. Well, this is another thing. As a girl, I think that's cool. As a guy, I think that is not very cool. But I also do. I like that you don't care that other people. I like that you're sharing that. You're not afraid that you like candles.
Cool.
That part is cool.
But the activity itself is not that cool.
I mean, like, what? You go into Target and you're like, oh, this is nice. Like, is that? See, that's not cool.
That's exactly.
But thank you for admitting it. Yeah. But that's not cool, and you know that.
I do know that. But the folks that are listening on Spotify certainly can't see this, but the folks on YouTube can't see either. We have a candle going off to the right.
And it is nice.
And it is nice.
I can't even lie about that.
So don't knock it till you try it. All right, so the last two things we're going to wrap this episode with. Emma.
Michael.
What is your favorite memory with me?
So this you kind of talked about, but it's a little more specific. I would say my favorite memory with you is when we were in Spain.
Okay.
And it was right before we went to McDonald's. We were walking back from dinner with our parents.
Well, but we were walking by ourselves.
It was just us. And I remember we were like following the GPS trying to find McDonald's. And we walked in this like I don't know if it was like a library or it was just a very calm like little break from like the hustle and bustle of like the evening.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, this is really cool. Like I'm with my brother. I'm in Spain. You know, I'm going to a Formula 1 race tomorrow. It was just like a cool, good moment.
Yeah, I feel like in life,
core memory.
Sometimes you have those moments where you stop and it kind of crystallizes like, oh, everything's not so bad.
Yeah, I in that moment, I think I remember thinking, like, there is no, like, life is really good right now.
Yeah, right. And I try my hardest to have more of those moments than the moments where I feel like everything's crashing down around me.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though I feel that way, like 99% of the time.
Right, and we're similar in that sense.
We're similar in that sense. But it's also good to recognize, like, oh, okay, in this moment, I don't want for anything.
Right. Like, right? It couldn't get much better than that, you know?
This is one of those moments.
Yay.
I'm enjoying this.
Thank you. Me too. All right. Now, what's your favorite memory with me?
So this is less...
You're going to say something stupid.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
This is less wholesome. So I have a series of favorite memories, but so back home, we have a pool that in our backyard. And when you first learned to swim, you would... both with floaties on and without.
I'm like laughing.
We would try to teach you how to dive off a diving board. And you were probably 5 or 6 and you didn't actually know how to dive. But the dive that you did was belly flop every time.
Every time.
Like flat belly flop. Like it would sound like a smack every time you hit the water. And you would wear goggles too, which was the funniest.
So I looked pretty stupid, probably.
It was terrible.
And I know that you and Manny were probably both like by the pool, like, do another one, Em, do another one.
Well, that's the best thing about it is you would be so excited to show us your dive.
Oh yeah, because if you guys were laughing, like I'd be like, yes.
Yeah. So
even though I was probably embarrassing myself.
You were like 5 years old, and you would just keep going, and you would get a running start and just flat belly flop time and time for like 10 times in a row. And then eventually, like somebody would come out of the house and be like, all right, can you guys just relax?
I know Dad would come out and be like, guys. Like,
yeah. And it'd be so funny with your floaties on because you wouldn't actually go under the water.
I would like.
You would sort of just like bounce off the top and then stick your head out of the water and be like, how was that?
Oh my gosh.
How was that? We'd be like, that was the best one, but I know you can do better. So that was that.
Oh gosh.
And then the very last thing that I think will be a nice way to close. What is your favorite trait about me?
Okay, I'm gonna give like 2 or 3 because one we already talked about, which was how you kind of do things without really caring about what others think. But I would think, I think as well, you are very intuitive. I think you can read a room really well, and you kind of know. Like, I think it's very like you're very understanding of your needs as well as other people's, and I think that's a trait that is like very rare in a lot of people. But you have that really well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you.
All right, my turn.
So I think a lot of things. I'll narrow it down to I'll say 3. I think first of all, you're a very joyful person.
Thank you.
I think you're very pleasant to be around. You don't like to bring the mood down. I think you try to bring it up. And I think a lot of people gravitate towards you because I don't know, especially at your age, I feel like it's very easy to get sucked into talking smack and trying to social climb. But I feel like you don't do that.
Thank you.
And I really respect that about you. I think secondly, I really admire how well-spoken you are.
Thanks.
Obviously, I think this podcast reaffirms that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we're so close is because we communicate so effectively.
And I can say with a lot of confidence that I think a lot of that comes from like you being around someone who's like very intelligent and like, I just always feel like I'm trying to match you. Like, I think you're really good at that. And so I'm like, all right, like,
Yeah, well, I'm trying to match you in a lot of ways, too. So,
because we're just like that.
Yeah, so we got that competition going. And then the last thing that I'll say that, we didn't touch on this podcast, maybe for a round 2, is you're actually very, for a 15-year-old and for somebody that's a freshman in high school, you're very professionally minded. You're very, oriented towards the future.
Right, yeah.
And there's only so much you can do at your age.
Right.
But I do feel like when you think about like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is the industry I want to go into, or I want to be an entrepreneur. Like, these are things that you think about regularly.
I do.
And I can imagine it's a little bit daunting at times.
Yeah.
You feel like you have a big mountain to climb.
Right.
But you are exponentially farther ahead than a lot of people because you at least have an idea of like, okay, this is who I think I want to be in 10 years.
Right.
Right. And maybe that's because you grew up with older siblings, or maybe that's just because it's the way you are. But, whereas most people your age are caring about everything but that, I feel like a good chunk of you does think about those things.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true about me. And I think other people would agree that, like, similar to you in this way, if there's something that I want to do, like, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to, like, have that, whether that be a school I want to go to for college or a career that I want to have in the future, I am going to try really hard to do that.
Even with the volleyball thing.
Yeah,
like, you really wanted to make that team. You worked really hard and you succeeded.
I did.
So it's a testament to everything about you, but to your work ethic, I think.
Thank you for saying that.
All right. Look, so last question. For anybody that's about to enter high school, do you have any advice?
I would say be nice.
Nice.
I think that's a lot of people try to be like super like philosophical. Be nice to people. Just be somebody that other people want to be around. Because the people that I have found in my life, the people who have less friends and, maybe get left out, it's not because they're not cool. It's because they're not nice. And I think if you just try to be your most authentic, kind self, then you're going to find a lot of people who want to be around that.
Well, look, Em, I appreciate you joining. I love you. I'm proud of you.
I love you too. This is awesome. I'm really excited to see what this is going to be. And thank you for having me.
And we'll have you back.